Good morning and welcome to Kathleen's Place today and every day. Remember, this is a safe place for you to share, to comment your experiences that might be similar to mine that I'm talking about today. Now today we're going to talk about fibromyalgia. Why? Because I have fibromyalgia and I also have chronic fatigue syndrome. I've mostly been studying up on chronic fatigue syndrome, but have realized that I should also study up on fibromyalgia, as I also have fibromyalgia. Now, a lot of the symptoms I thought that I have were due to chronic fatigue syndrome, or maybe just nothing, as a lot of times that's how I feel. Not my doctor, but other doctors have treated things, especially the specialists. Anyhow, let's get into it. So, excuse me, feeling a little bit fatigued right now, but that's okay. I'm gonna try to do this video anyhow. So anyhow, yes, fibromyalgia is something that has so many symptoms and not very nice ones. And I had thought, as I had mentioned earlier, that I had studied chronic fatigue syndrome more than I did fibromyalgia. So I really didn't know too much about my fibromyalgia. You know what? Just 1 second. I'm gonna change my position here. Yeah, fibromyalgia is what makes me have to take sleeping pills at night, or a sleeping pill. But lately I've only been taking, I took one full pill one night, and the next day I was just like I feel right now, or worse, really groggy and sleepy and everything. And then so I actually am taking like a third of it, and it helps me to sleep, as well as I'm not as groggy the next day. Now today though, I am feeling quite fatigued, kind of exhausted. So symptoms of fibromyalgia, there are so many of them, and everybody gets, different ones. But I joined a group on Facebook for fibromyalgia so that I could understand a little bit, as well as searching on medical sites about fibromyalgia. So fibromyalgia, as well as chronic fatigue syndrome, had been thought of just something that was in your head and really wasn't an actual illness. But it is. So for me, some of my symptoms that I get is fatigue, which is the same as chronic fatigue syndrome. My eyes are very blurry. Every once in a while, I would get this like band feeling around my arm, and like it was swelling. And it got so bad that I asked my eldest child to take me into emergency. This was probably last year, I'm gonna say. Maybe 2 years ago. I'm not sure. I still get it every once in a while, but not as bad. And now I know what it is, so. But I thought, I was worried that, maybe I was having a heart attack or, something like that. And I called, the helpline as well, and they said the same thing, to go in to make sure. So I get there, and after waiting for hours, they said, well, I think we should, I told them that inside of my arm, it feels like it's swelling and it hurts. Oh, well, I think we should do an x-ray on you, because I had mentioned that I have chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. So they said that they'll do an x-ray to see if I have a fracture or something. And I said, well, I don't have a fracture because I haven't been doing anything that's going to cause me to have a fracture. Well, it's okay. It's okay. We'll take you down to do an x-ray and we'll check. And I said, but I don't have anything wrong like that. I'm like, they didn't listen, the nurses, and they did the x-ray, which is whatever. And, oh, no, you're fine. Didn't do blood work. Didn't check my blood pressure. Didn't do any vitals. That's all they did. And so when I went to see my family doctor later, he was not impressed. He's like, so they didn't even do blood work or anything? I said, no, they just patronized me, basically. So anyhow, that's just a little side note of my story. Then, what's next? Oh, there was a while that my skin, to just touch it, hurt. And I had mentioned this at least to my one daughter that I live with. I wasn't living with her at the time. I'd mentioned it to my husband and probably my son, because I just couldn't figure out, like, why does my skin hurt? It's so weird. Fibromyalgia. My irritableness that I'm trying to control and have done somewhat better than before. Fibromyalgia. But I'm trying to hold that in check as well. What else? Trying to remember this, because this lady on the page had put these lists down of what she gets, her symptoms, and it was like, that's me. Like, that is exactly what I get. Headaches and body aches all over the place. Burning sensations, itchy. So in my right thigh, I would, just in a circular spot, I would get a burning sensation. Now that I don't get anymore either. I still get itchy. For me, my hair follicles, which I've mentioned in other videos, my hair follicles, you know, where the hair meets the scalp, hurt when, of course I have to move my hair in order for it, which I do a lot, but it hurts, and that's when I know that I'm going to be having a flare-up of fibromyalgia. Now, before I thought it was chronic fatigue syndrome, but no, it's fibromyalgia. And there's so many more symptoms that I haven't mentioned yet, and I will mention them in another video. Now, the two things that I see that cross over between chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, and there might be more, but the two that I noticed right away was, of course, the fatigue, as well as body aches. But the fibromyalgia body aches are a lot worse. My sleeping pills that I take are also to help take the pain away. So there are 2 days that I didn't have my meds for sleeping and pain, because it's created specifically for fibromyalgia. I was in so much pain for 2 days, just unbearable, my whole body. I mean, it was bearable, but not at the same time. It's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just pain throughout your whole body. So many symptoms that I didn't realize that were not chronic fatigue syndrome. And I guess I hadn't really looked into, I mean, I just accepted that I had a bunch of symptoms, basically. And being that I had been so exhausted and fatigued for so long, I just didn't bother looking into any of my other symptoms that I had that didn't really correlate with CFS or chronic fatigue syndrome. So anyhow, that's basically part of the symptoms. Now, there are more symptoms, which I will, like I said, mention in another video. Oh, but the one difference with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia is chronic fatigue syndrome, you can't exercise very much, or it will exhaust you, like in a way that just you don't know. Like you can do a little bit and you'll feel like you've done a full blown out hardcore exercise afterwards. But with fibromyalgia, I've learned that doing some kind of exercise helps the pain. So those kind of contradict each other. So I will be exercising. I will be doing something, even if it's just walking, when it's not -40 out Celsius. So just think, we hit the same, Fahrenheit and Celsius, we hit the same at -22 is what I understand. So -40 is what it's been for a little while here. I'm not sure what it is today. It's bright and sunny. But anyhow, that is what I wanted to share. And sometimes I have a hard time doing my videos because I'm just too fatigued. But today I just thought, you know what? Even if I'm fatigued, I'm going to do them and get this out there. And I won't be doing a lot of editing. I will just piece a couple of videos together. I will show you at the end what it looks like outside today, out of my window. And yeah, so I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope that you feel safe and welcomed here. And there is one of my followers who I miss, and I'm hoping that you will join me on this video. I miss you all, but I haven't heard from this one in particular for a little while. So love you all. I love you. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bright and shiny this morning.